What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the War to Rise podcast. I am your host, Paul Burns, and I'm super excited to start this podcast with you all. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm a former firefighter, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a coach, I'm an author. And, typically when people start podcasts, what they end up doing is they do an introduction episode. Well, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to get right into this. But what I want to talk about on this platform is a wide variety of things. And here's the one thing that I will tell you. If I don't offend you, then I am not doing my job. And I mean that sincerely because I'm going to talk about some deep, dark, happy, all across the board type of things. I'm not on here to promote happy clappy BS. I'm not on here to, tell you that you can do it, even though I believe that you can. But there's so many things within my coaching program, within my business, within my marriage, within my body, within all of these things, spirituality, we're going to talk about all of these things. And I feel that this is the right platform for me at this moment to get this information out there. So I mean it sincerely. If I don't offend you, then we are not rising together. And I would always challenge you with this. If I do offend you, then you need to look at it and understand why you are offended. Because here's the thing. If I say something or do something or I have an ideology behind something, you really need to look at why that offends you, because it's not me, it's actually you. So let's kick this off. And if you are still on this page, thank you so much for joining the War to Rise podcast. So once again, I am a coach that coaches mainly men that are business owners. I myself am a business owner. I run a 7-figure business with my wife as the CEO and practice manager of a health and wellness clinic here in Denver, Colorado. I spent 14 years with the fire department, and in 2017, I walked away from the only career that I've ever known because I was just fed up. I was fed up to my ears, like so many guys that I talk to on social media, in person, or whatever it is. And I walked away. I walked away despite the fear. I walked away despite people putting their limiting beliefs on my life, just because I knew there was something more. And I am going to promote myself. I outline my journey in my book called Beardology, right? How to Discover Yourself in the Quest for Your Freedom. This is a book that came out in March that I wrote. And this is a testament to my journey, my story, my limiting beliefs, because in November of 2023, I was challenged by my mentor, my coach, to write a book. And I'd always wanted to write a book, but I was like, you know what? Who'd want to read my fucking story? And here's another thing. I do like to swear. So this is not made for children. So if you have little kids, running around while you're listening to this, pop in some headphones. So that is going to be this. I am going to be authentic. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be raw with you guys. We're going to be talking about deep shit that we go through as humans, because this is the thing, guys. There are so many people on social media and YouTube and all of these places that do not tell you the fucking truth. They want to show you the glitz, the glamour, the fakeness. And I am so fucking tired of the fakeness. Nobody's talking about the real issues. Nobody's talking about why your marriage sucks. Nobody's talking about why your body is the way it is, why you accept mediocrity. There's a few in this space that are doing it, but the majority of people on social media are not doing it. They're just not doing it. And I myself, I am an authentic man who believes that the truth is what sets you free. The freedom is what sets you free. So we're going to get into it, guys. I got my list of notes here. As always, this is the first episode, so I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Leave a comment in the comment box if this is something that you get value from, because that is my ultimate goal, is to provide you value. Please like, share, and subscribe. So let's get into it. So the title of today's episode number 1 of the War to Rise, is You Have a Duty to rise, right? And so what I mean by that, I mean, as an adult, and even if you're a young adult watching this, you still have a duty to rise in your life. You have a duty not to accept mediocrity. Because in today's society, we are so bombarded with mediocrity. And I'll give you an example. I caught some major shit for this on Instagram. I did a post a while back about how being humble is bullshit. You know, I've been told this in my life, Paul, you need to be more humble. Paul, you need, and here's the thing, guys. When you look up the definition of being humble, it means to be the lowest version of yourself. And I disagree with that a lot. Who wants to be the lowest version of themselves, their self? I don't. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm working towards. That's not what I'm showing my family, my boys, my employees, my friends, my extended family, the people that follow me on social media. I'm not showing or trying to show up in a way that I'm trying to be the lowest, meek, humble version of myself. Because one, that's not who I am. Now, the definition of the verb definition of beard in my book is this. It's to confront with boldness and resolution and often defiance. If you look up the verb definition of beard, that's what it means. That's been the story my whole life, guys. The whole story. So the war to rise, especially as a man, has never been greater. If you're a husband, you're a father, and if you're a business owner, that is the trifecta of chaos, because it's now harder than ever to be a connected husband, to be a present father, and to be a successful business owner. And now there may be some of you that are watching this that are in business, and you're like, I'm successful. Okay, great. Maybe you're making money in your business. Maybe your business is past the 10-year mark. But I would ask you, what are you sacrificing? Because you cannot have it all. You cannot have a body that's on fire while ignoring your marriage and your business is on fire. There's so many guys that I talk to that they're struggling in any of these areas. They may have a fit as fuck body, but their marriage sucks because they go to the office or they go to the gym to avoid their real fucking problems. But I'd have you consider that this idea of balance is bullshit. We see it all the time on the internet. Balance, life balance, work-life balance. While I believe that you need to be constantly pursuing this idea of balance in each area of your life, I still don't believe that it's 100% equally attainable. And I say this off experience because, like I said, I'm a business owner. I have 2 boys. I'm a husband. I have an employees, things like that. Like I am constantly running after this, but I've never been able to achieve it. No matter how disciplined, no matter all of these things that I am, I've still never achieved that equal balance in each category. So this idea of balance is something that is never finished. Like there's no finish line to this, guys. And don't get stuck in this trap of there's balance and there's a finish line and these 90-day programs. I get so tired of hearing these 90-day programs. You know, it's just a gimmick. Like you can do a lot of things in 90 days. Hear me. You can do a lot of things in 90 days. But if you want to completely transform your life and turn it around, it's going to take a lot longer than fucking 90 days. Why? Because you got to show up consistently. And that's what I wanted to talk about today, because something that is so dear to me is this idea of legacy. As I said, I have 2 young boys. They're 8 and 5 at the moment. And, you know, when my first son was born, that was a little bit prior to me leaving the fire department. And when I left the fire department, I was not the man I am today. And so this idea of legacy and transformation and living it all and having it all and all this stuff, it's transformed over the past 8 years to something that means super or has a super importance in my life. And this is what I do, and I work with my clients, and I you know, here's the thing, guys. I'm not starting this podcast to talk about me. I'm starting this podcast to talk about you. I wrote my book to talk about you. But through me, through my story, through my journey, through my hardships, through my fucking darkest truth is where you will learn and hear the words that I'm saying, or maybe read the words that I'm saying, to go on and change and transform your life for the better. I didn't write a book to write a self-memoir about my life. I wrote a book to tell my story so that you can take the lessons from my story and apply them to your life. Because, like I said, we're going to talk about spirituality. I've been called by God. I was a man that was lost. This was an area in my life that I was not seeking God. I believe in God. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in going to church every Sunday is the only place that I can communicate with God. But a year ago, God put it on my heart, and I heard his voice tell me that I need to go out and help men that were struggling just like I was. And I am. I'm still struggling in certain ways. That's why there's never a finish line, guys. So listen, buckle up. If you're a guy who's searching for more, whether you're an employee or you run a business, if you're a guy who's seeking to have a better life, to leave a better legacy, then I want you to stay tuned to this podcast. I want you to stay tuned to this channel and subscribe and get notified when I go live, when I do this podcast. Because I believe nobody coaches like me. I believe nobody speaks like I do, with fire and passion and authenticity. And I believe that because God told me to do this thing that I've been pursuing for the past year. So let's get back to it. So the war to rise has never been greater. And here's the thing. It's not all about you. Your life, your circumstances, it's not all about you. Well, Paul, what do you mean? It's about the men and women that are going to inherit this world from you and me. That's what it's about, guys. That's what legacy is. That's what this idea of legacy is to me. And as a man, it's our job to be the standard for our children. It's our job to show them what that means. So I'm raising 2 little men. I'm raising the future leaders of this country, the future leaders of this world. The last thing that I want to be responsible for is raising weak men. And we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I have this responsibility. So I have to show up a certain way as their father. Doesn't mean I am perfect. Doesn't mean that I always get it right. In fact, today I started to lose it a little bit. I started to get frustrated and stressed out that things weren't done a certain way, because that is part of who I am. I'm a perfect type of country guy. And I broke character for a little bit. And then I realized, you know what? This is not how I need to show up for myself. It's not how I need to show up for my wife. It's not how I need to show up for these little men that are going to inherit what we leave for them. You have a duty and an obligation as a man to set the standard for your children. Even if you have little girls, not just little boys, you are going to dictate future circumstances right now based on how you show up for your fucking family. And if that doesn't matter to you, or if that doesn't speak to you right now within your mind and your body and your heart, then this is for you. Because the weight of that, can be very, very heavy. To be a father is very, very heavy because that is what is at stake. So it is our job to be the standard for our children. It is our obligation to show up for them how we need to show up for them. And here's the thing, guys. If you have kids, you understand. They are always watching. They are always watching what we do. They're watching emotionally. They're watching how we treat our spouse. They're watching how we work out. They're watching how we handle stressful situations like I had this morning. They're watching. And what we all know, if you're a real adult and not some, little fuck boy who's pretending to be an adult, right? Still living at fucking mom and dad's house. If you're an adult and you pay your own bills and you're fighting and you're in the grind and you're fucking trying to do everything to make it, then you understand what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you is when your children are watching you, they do one of two things as they continue to develop and grow into adults. They're going to either remember how you failed to show up for them. They're going to remember how you could not handle your own shit as a man or a woman or as a married couple. They're going to remember. And they're either going to inherit that program and put it into their life, and they're going to repeat the same things that you failed at as an adult, or they're going to run away from it. They're going to do the opposite. Now, I want you to fathom that for a minute. How are you showing up? Where are you not showing up? Are you not showing up in your body? Are you one of these dad bod, purse wearing men? Are you offended yet? Because be sure, if you're not offended, leave a comment in this video and I will make sure I get you covered on the next one. I'm not here to stir controversy, guys. I'm here to tell you the fucking truth. The weight of this responsibility, and I'm speaking from a father's point of view, is massive. And guys, there was a time in my life where I was a fucking mediocre bitch of a man. I was overweight. I did not show up for my wife the way I needed to. I did not show up for my sons when I needed to. I did not show up financially, and I was too afraid to talk with God or to even speak publicly about God. And that was several years ago. And it was in my darkest time. It was in my weakest time of my life. And I've been on this journey for the past 8 years to fucking flip that. And I think about that guy and I see pictures of that guy, of what he's been doing or what he was doing at that time in his life. And I'm like, you fucking bitch. That's how you decided to show up. And it was painful, and it still is painful to look at that guy. And it's still hard for when that guy pops out of me at sometimes, and I have to fucking beat his ass and put him back in his place. But the point is this. The point is there is going to be a generation of your children that are going to inherit your habits or your lack of habits. So when I speak of legacy, I don't speak just about money. You guys understand that, right? It's not just about leaving your kids a pile of money when you die. It's so much more than that. And today, I see it all the time. I see men out there not rising. I see men not taking accountability for themselves. I see men allowing their wives to fill their role. you're not a man. You are a beta bitch. That's right. Maybe this episode won't even air on YouTube. We're coming in hot and heavy, guys. But hey, this is the truth. This is what I'm talking about. And we see it in today's society. Men aren't holding doors open for women. They're going on these little dating apps and they're just, they're still living at home with mom and dad. Come on. I just turned 39 years old 2 weeks ago. I am building the life that I want. A life by design, not by default. And I sure as hell am not showing up the way that I used to. And when you look at today's society, here's a few things that I wrote down. Simply put, men are not rising. They're not rising to the occasion that God has called them to be. They are not rising to the man God created them to be. They're watching porn all the time. They're having affairs. They are addicted to alcohol or weed or other drugs. They have these awesome dad bods with bitch tits. And listen, if that pisses you off, hopefully you're still watching because I want you to hear me. I was that guy. The guy that sits in front of you today was 40 pounds heavier 9 years ago. The heaviest I've ever been. I've talked about it. I've posted a photo that I absolutely fucking hated on the internet of that. I put it in my book. Every time I look at that photo, I'm fucking ashamed. Not just because of my weight, but more importantly, because I know who I was and how I acted, how I did not rise, how I put myself in that situation and how I made my wife show up in ways that she didn't need to show up because I was failing as a man. You want to know why your marriage sucks? It's because you're putting your wife in a position that she doesn't want to be in. You're putting your wife in a position in a place that she does not thrive. She thrives in her feminine energy. You put her into the masculine, you create stress on her body, which is the worst thing for your wife. So if you're not getting enough sex, where do you need to show up as a man? Where do you need to rise? I'm going to take a moment here. We've been going for about 20 minutes. If you're still with me, I appreciate it. Please be sure to like, comment, and share and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out about 3 of these a week. We're going to cover all sorts of conversations, guys, because I want you to get this. I want you to look at yourself and go, you know what? Paul, it fucking hurts. I have a gut. Maybe I have those man titties. But you're right. I look at myself in the mirror and I go, fuck. Boy, do I disrespect myself. So I'm going to change it. That's all you got to do. Oh, Paul, it's so easy. You just got to change. You're fucking right. You need to make the decision as a man that you're no longer willing to disrespect yourself as a man. If you get up in the morning and you do not like what you see in the mirror, you do not like the amount of zeros in your bank account, it's time to fucking go. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How long is it going to take you? What things, what habits, what disciplines do you need to adopt in order for you to change that man that you see in the mirror that's holding you back in a life of mediocrity and default? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to have your kids see you show up in a way that you've never shown up before? So I'm gonna try. I didn't think I was gonna talk about this. So as I look at my phone here, I took a screenshot because I had this conversation with this guy online, and I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But you know what? Something that I do when I see my boys you know, kind of act in a way that, as their father, kind of makes me kind of cringe, right? Like maybe they are being emotional that day or something, right? The first thing that I do is I fucking look at myself. I look at myself and I'm like, okay, was there an area this week that I did not um, show up for them that caused them um, to be emotional? Like, did they see me do something, or did they hear a conversation that made them show up in this way? So that is something that I'm always constantly reflecting on and adapting and evolving and all of this. So I found this. So let me set the frame here. So the frame of this was I was on Facebook and I belonged to a bunch of dad groups, dadpreneurs, because dadpreneurs are the main clients that I have right now in my coaching business, the Rise to Reign. And the guy's post was essentially this. It was him bitching about his kids. So, he had teenager boys, and obviously I have boys, but I don't have teenager boys. So, but he was bitching about his kids. He was talking about how, um, his boys, all they do are play video games, and, they're never outside, and they're overweight, and, just, bitching, complaining. And I have to give him kudos in this sense too, because, he didn't like post this without posting his name in the group. He didn't hide himself. Um, and so my response was this, and his name was Todd. And, I said, Todd, I said, I understand what you're saying, because he was also talking about how, when he grew up, he was riding his bike and all this stuff. And obviously it's a different time. Like, I don't have, half the stuff my boys have. And that's the point, right? Like, we want them starting off better than we did. And as a dad, that's what you should be doing. That's a part of this legacy conversation. And so, I basically said, Todd, I said, hey man, I appreciate, you hopping in this group and asking this question and all of these things. I said, but how are you showing up for them? Like, do they see you come home and not work out? Do they see you come home and just plop yourself down on the couch and watch Netflix? Or, are you at family dinner, doing this and not, showing up for them? And I said, so I have one question for you. I said, are you overweight? Like, seriously, be real. Are you overweight? And this is his response. I'm going to read it. He said, Paul, it's not hard for me to say that I'm bigger than I'd like to be. And it's been a challenge, except the teen years when I was extraordinarily active. But I'm 46 with 6 kids, and I have a sedentary job. Even still, I do intermittent fast, and I don't really eat carbs or processed foods or sugar except on rare occasions, and I'm working on me too. But time is the most scarce resource. So there's a few things in that I want to pick apart. He is not rising. Like, if you're willing to admit that you're bigger than you would like to be, what are you doing about it? Remember, I asked him, I said, are you in shape, essentially? And instead of saying, you know what, no, Paul, I'm not, he proceeded to tell me all the things that he is doing, as far as, I don't really eat carbs. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat processed thing except on the rare occasions. And it's like, okay, dude, this is the whole idea of, I'm fat because of my genetics. And so I actually went and I looked at his profile, and he is a lot bigger than he let on. And it's like, okay, so what are you doing about it? And that was basically my follow up response to him. I was like, dude, okay, what are you doing about it? Do you have a coach or mentor? Do you have a workout plan? Do you have a meal plan? Because I will tell you this, running a health and wellness business for 8 years, if you're not eating sugar and you're not eating carbs and you're being active, you shouldn't be overweight by that much. That's the truth. But instead I get, well, my, time is scarce, guys. I just don't have the time, Paul. And I have a sedentary job. And you know what? It does not matter. Those are fucking excuses. Like you are either going to man the fuck up and say, you know what? You got me. I'm willing to change. I would do anything to not be this guy, because that's where I was. I would do anything not to be that guy. I left my only career of the past 14 years that I've ever had since I was 18 years old. I did that being the primary breadwinner, making the most money, with insurance, with a 1.5-year-old. I said, I've had enough. This job, being a firefighter, although it was great, it was not growing me. It was not making me or turning me into the man that I saw myself in my head and I knew in my heart that I could be. That's why I have a beard, guys. I couldn't shave for 14 years. Like I had to shave every day to be a firefighter. So the guy that I saw in my head was this bearded guy that you see here today. I have created myself of who I am today. And these men are not rising, and they're so stuck in fucking bullshit like this. I have a sedentary job, so therefore I'm fucking fat. Bullshit. You're telling me you can't go walk around your neighborhood for 30 to 45 minutes every night? You're telling me you couldn't get up just a little bit earlier and go meditate, or go get in a cold plunge, or go lift some weights, or go do something to be that's going to turn you into the man that you want to be? You either play the victim or you play the victor. And guys, for such a long time, I played the fucking victim. And every so often this comes out in me, and why is this happening to me? Why is it happening to me? Why is it always to me? And Ed Milet says it best, man. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Even in tragedy. I lost my closest friend in 2015. He was 36. He died of a line of duty death in the fire service from cancer. And that's right when I was being a beta bitch. And I was devastated, obviously. I lost a close friend that came up in the fire service with me, and I miss him all the fucking time. But his tragedy of losing his life happened for me. Hear me. It happened for me, not to me. It's what propelled me to leave the fire department. Had it not been for his death, I don't know when I would have left. But about 1.5 years, give or take, after he died, I left. I was like, I do not want this to be my fate. And I'm not happy. And I'm unhealthy. And I'm sick. I couldn't smell. I couldn't taste. It was happening for me, not to me. So we gotta have this mindset of the hurdles, the things that make you want to punch a hole in the wall, the things that frustrate you to your core. They're telling you it's time for a change. And that is when the obligation, as a man, as a woman, as a father, as a business leader, as a friend, a husband, you have an obligation to the people in your life to fucking rise. And it is a choice not to. Part of the reason I'm starting this podcast, that I'm on this channel, is because I had no one to fucking tell me the things that I am telling you today. In the way that I'm speaking to you, in the authentic way, into the truth, into the darkness. There are few. There are not a many. And I wonder what I could have built had I fucking gotten this information, or had I had someone to mentor me and say, you know what, Paul, you're showing up piss poor for your family. You're showing up piss poor for yourself. What are you doing, man? And there's a lot of times that I don't feel like I'm being my authentic self. But it's this daily, constant work on myself. You know, to be fit, to be successful, to have a marriage that's, you know, I've been with my wife for over 20 years. We're going to celebrate our 13th wedding anniversary here next month. And I've made a lot of fucking mistakes, guys. And I deeply love this woman. She has been my go-to for over 20 years, and she deserves the world. She deserves the absolute best of me. And sometimes she doesn't get it, and she still sticks by me and supports me. And, you know, if you don't want to be better for your wife, you know, it's no wonder why divorce rates are over 51% for first marriages. And you want to look at, I love this statistic because it really shuts a lot of men up, saying, you know what, my wife, she just wasn't for me. And here's the thing. I don't believe every marriage can be saved. But what this statistic tells me is that 67% of second marriages fail. 67%. So you know what that means? It means you guys are getting married. First one doesn't work out. Blame it on the wife. Play the victim. Then you find another woman to fall in love with, maybe have a couple kids. And that one, oh man, what some bad luck. That one didn't work out either. No. You know what that tells me? It tells me you're unwilling to change. You're unwilling to rise to the man that God has called you to be. And so, you know, today's society doesn't help either. Like, I'll tell you honestly, guys, it's an election year, and I'm sure at some point we're going to talk about politics on this podcast. Not to be controversial, but because it's part of life. Especially if you run a business right now, man, all the business owners I'm talking to, they're struggling. They're struggling because of things that have happened in this country or their state that are directly impacting their business. And I'm one of them. But I'm not going to shy away from stuff, guys. So make sure you're hitting that like, subscribe, and share button, please. And as always, I want to know what you guys want me to talk about. Leave it in the comments. And if you find any value in this, or you know somebody that's going through this in your life, maybe you're starting to, or have started to get your shit together, and there's somebody in your life that needs to hear this because you've been saying this and they just won't listen to you, share this video with them. But you know, today's society is so upside down, in my opinion. And in so many ways, we have weak men all over the country, with dad bods, you know, not showing up for their wives. They're watching porn instead of having sex with their wives. And I'm not saying that to be shameful, but I'm saying that because I was that man not showing up. And so, you have to ask yourself, what are the standards? What are your principles? What are your values as a man? And going through what we went through in 2020 as a country, and particularly as in my family, is we really were able to see our values, our principles, and what we stood up for, and the things that we were willing to accept and the things that we weren't willing to accept. That made me proud, but it also showed me where I could show up differently as well. So as a man, you need to ask yourself, like, what is the standard that I use to conduct myself as a man? What is the standard that I'm using to raise my children? You know, and you have to reflect and go back to the two programs that we talked about in the beginning. What kind of father did you have? Are you running away from what was shown to you, or did you inherit something that you liked or didn't like from your father? How did he show up for you? There's a lot of guys that are my age, in their late 30s, almost 40s, where their dad never hugged them. They never told them that he loved them and things like that. It doesn't make you a pussy. I hug my kids all the time, man. I show them my love, but I'm also very, very hard on them too. Very, very hard on them because I know what their future holds. I know how I want to shape and show up for them as their father. And so there's a funny story. I mentioned my buddy that passed away. So for the past 9 years, actually 10 years, we have had a memorial hockey tournament in his name to provide funds for his widow and his 2 kids, because when he died at 36, his 2 kids were under the age of 6 years old. And so, a few of our friends, mutual friends, we decided to start this hockey tournament. And this past March, we held the last one. It became this, monster of a thing to just do. And we just felt there was time, but it was funny. His son, I believe he's 11 now. And I think he's 11 or so. But we were at the tournament on the last day, and his wife came up to me and she goes, "Hey, I was having a conversation with Brendan, and he's like, he told me in the car last night that Paul is he's a tough guy. He's got a beard, he's got muscles, he's got tattoos. He's a tough guy, Mom." And it melts my heart because this young man has not really been around men the past, his whole life. Like when his dad passed, I'm getting choked up about it, but when his dad passed, he was young. He probably doesn't remember a whole lot of his father, but see, I'm being raw with you guys. This is what it is, man. This is what it's about. And so, him saying that, and I've done a good job and I've done a shitty job as a friend to show up for them. And that's something I have to deal with, but it's funny to me that another young man is looking at me saying, Mom, he has a beard, he's got tattoos, he's got muscles, he's a tough guy. And so I was talking to my wife about this, and I was like, my boys are also seeing that, and they may not understand that right now the way this young man did, because I am around and I am present and I'm teaching them and I'm guiding them and I'm helping them and I'm loving them. But that's what I want. Like I want my sons to grow up and think their dad's a bad motherfucker, because I am, and I always have not been that way. But I look at guys on my block and people I meet and talk to and associate with, and it's like, I want my kids to look up to me in a way of like, man, dude, nobody better fuck with dad, right? Because he will end you, and that's the other whole thing about this is, we are very, very particular about who our kids hang out with, because I don't want some other weak man showing up and putting things into their heads and things like that. And so, you guys, this conversation of legacy, we're coming to a close here. This conversation of legacy, it's one of those things that is really impactful to me. It's been an impact to my life. It keeps the target on my back and what I'm going towards, and what I'm fighting for my family and myself and my kids and their future. And so, just to recap here, like, you have an obligation and you have responsibilities, to be a man, who is someone who acts above your principles and your values above all else. Like it's in those hard times that you need to lean on your principles and your values and your obligations as an adult. And how are you showing up in those times? Just like my buddy Todd here that I told you about. So, there's some questions I want to leave you guys with. It's like, how are you conducting yourself? when mistakes show up. And if you fuck something up, right? Let's say, you don't show up, you break character of where you wanted to be in that moment, like I did this morning. What are you doing about it? What are you doing to change? Are you accepting it? Are you building upon it? What actions or inactions are you going to take in that situation? And that is what helps define who you are. And so the last piece, obviously, I've talked about, I'm a business owner, but people are always watching. Your kids are watching you. Your employees are watching you. Your coworkers are watching you. People on social media, if you're active on there, they're watching you, and they're watching how you conduct yourself and how you're able to show up for yourself. Are you showing up in the weakest version of yourself possible? Because if you are, that's the highest level of disrespect. And again, this whole idea of, well, you're fat shaming people or whatever. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I was that guy. Like, I could have been exactly where you are right now. And I would have you consider that if you've landed on this page and you've watched this video to this point, that is not a coincidence. And it's going to take hard work, and it's going to be tough, and you're going to want to quit, and you're going to want to just fucking scream up to the sky. But you need to keep going, because your legacy, your family, your children, your employees, your business, your customers, they deserve better. They deserve way better than the lowest, weakest version of yourself. So, guys, don't allow yourself to be the weakest version of yourself. It's no fun. But when you decide to rise, when you are within this war of deciding to transform your life, when you declare the act of war within yourself, and you say, I am no longer willing to accept the weakest version of me, you better expect pushback. You better expect chaos. You better expect the darkness to come swinging its heavy hammer right into your fucking face. You're gonna face criticism. I'm gonna get negative comments about this whole video. And I don't care, because I know the man that I am. And that's a great point to end on, because nobody is ever going to shit on you for rising. Right? It's always these weak people that see you start to transform your life. They see you starting to make these changes, that they start targeting up, right? They start punching up at you because you decided you were fed up and you're no longer willing to do what you were doing. So they punch up, they comment, these little keyboard fucking warriors. You're never going to have somebody that is above you who's done what you're trying to achieve punch down to you. Why? Because they understand the work that it takes. They understand the sacrifices that you have to make to get to where they're currently at. You're going to face backlash from your family. God only knows what I'm doing right now, and the things I've said on the internet and posted and talked about and all these things. I've gotten backlash a lot. And guys, I'm not even kidding. Do you know how many family members, close family members, have not bought my book? Like, people that I thought supported me, they haven't bought my book. It's crazy. I'm going to end on this in a story. In the idea that there's going to be pushback from the weakest people in your life. When I was at the fire department, so in 2016, actually in 2015, I had just changed fire departments, went to a new fire department here in my hometown. And in 2016, I started this process. Like that's when I really became fed up with this idea of the man that I was, and how I wasn't rising and how I wasn't showing up and being overweight. That really bothered me. I didn't like who I saw in the mirror, and I decided to start changing. Started listening to podcasts. I was able to work out for an hour a day when I was at the fire department. So I started working out, and I'd work out, go to lunch after, and I started getting pushback from my coworkers who were sick as hell. They're way overweight. We even had one guy that hadn't passed a department physical in 5 years. God only knows why we allowed that to happen in a job like that. The backlash I got was insane. We were having meetings as a team because two coworkers in particular who were overweight and were sick were upset that Paul is taking an hour a day to work out. Okay. Well, that's fucking interesting, right? So an entire meeting with the entire staff to talk about Paul's workout habits. Those are those people. Those are those weak men that start to punch up at you. And it's funny because even at the fire department, there was a time where, I showed up at this new department, heaviest I'd ever been, the fattest, most overweight I'd ever been, the sickest I'd ever been. And nobody said anything to me. Nobody said, Paul, maybe you should lose some weight. Paul, maybe you should work out. I passed the fire department physical, which tells you how hard it was not. Nobody said, Paul, maybe you should take better care of yourself. Maybe, nobody said that, right? It's taboo. You don't talk about people being overweight. It's shameful. Well, guess what? You know what that implies? It implies that there's something to be shameful about, which is exactly right. If you think I'm shaming you because you're overweight, what? Come on. And so I remember this distinct conversation. It was one of the administration ladies. So I'd started losing weight. And it came off pretty quick within a couple months. I was back down. I went from 225, and I think the lowest I got to when I left the fire department, I was like 178. And that's when people started punching up at me. They said, "Oh, Paul, you're too skinny. Oh, Paul, look at you. Do you eat anything? Oh, Paul." And these are the same people that every day they're at the candy jar just fucking eating wrapper after candy and, wrappers everywhere. So think about that. This mediocrity, this failure to rise, this acceptance of a lower version of yourself, of being humble in society is celebrated. Being overweight, dad bod, addicted to porn, on your second wife, not showing up for your kids, not able to pay your bills, not connected to God. It's celebrated. But the guy who's working on himself, the guy who's going to the gym, the guy who's eating right, the guy who's reading self-help books, the guy who's listening to podcasts to learn and grow and to elevate his life, the guy who's pursuing different avenues in his field to be the best version he can be, the opposite of what humble means, is scrutinized. It's scrutinized in today's society. So when you think of everything we've talked about in this past hour, the failure to rise, the victim mentality, the obligations and responsibilities that you have, especially if you're a man, especially if you're a husband, especially if you have kids, especially if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you have the obligation to conduct yourself in the best version of you possible. You have a duty to show up for yourself and your family and your business and your clients and God a certain way. Not in disrespect, in respect. And society's going to scrutinize you for it. Think about that. So, guys, as always, this is the first episode. I'm pretty pumped about this. This has been fun for me. It's been fun to talk about these things. And so, as always, please like, comment, and share. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I look forward to hearing your comments on stuff that you're dealing with, things that you want to hear me talk about. Maybe you have specific questions for me. Maybe it's about my book. I am going to promote that. Once again, my book is called Beardology. It is not about facial hair. It is about you rising. It's about you discovering yourself in the quest for your own freedom. Okay. You can go to beardology.com and purchase a signed copy from me there. It's also available on Amazon and Kindle. If you want to hear about my coaching program and you're looking for a mentor who's not some fake fuck boy on Instagram, then I am your guy. If you have made it this far in the podcast, you understand that I don't mess around and I am the coach for you. You can go to rise2reigncollective.com and apply to work with me. I do not work with everybody. And if you come up in there in that application asking for guarantees, just be reminded that I'm going to tell you that only bitches ask for guarantees. So with that, guys, thank you so much for joining the War to Rise podcast. And I look forward to seeing you on episode 2. Until then, it's time to rise. There's been no better time to rise until now.